Hello and welcome to the next video of my series looking at the ACT English exam. So today we're going to be looking at two things. Number one, we're going to be looking at punctuating job descriptions and names and the relationship between the two within a sentence. And then number two, the second half of this video, we're going to be looking at punctuating days and dates. So if we start off with punctuating job descriptions and names to begin with, like I said, you need to look at the relationship between two, which comes first within the sentence. So if you look at our first examples here, so if the name comes before the job description, then a comma or a set of commas are required around the job description. So in example number one here, name comes first, Tom Davies, the ACT tutor, so you've got commas around that interrupting phrase there, is an extremely attractive man. So that's our full sentence. So grammatically and in terms of our punctuation, it's correct, although it might not be factually correct. But as with this first example here, our second example, Barack Obama, so the name comes first, and enclosed within a set of commas, you have the President of the United States, so the job description, if you like, lives in the White House. So here, you want to think of the job description almost as an interrupting phrase within the sentence. So you could remove the ACT tutor from the first sentence. Tom Davies is an extremely attractive man. That sentence would still make sense. So this is exactly the same as was the case when we were punctuating interrupting phrases. Links up the top now. So if we look at the reverse case now, where the description comes before the name, and now it depends on the exact nature of this description as to whether we require commas around the name or not. So if you look here, first of all, we're going to look at the case where the description doesn't directly identify the person. So this is the case where you don't require commas. So in this first example, the ACT tutor Tom Davies is an extremely attractive man. So notice our description here, the ACT tutor, well, there are lots of ACT tutors in the world. It's a very general description. It doesn't directly identify Tom Davies as the ACT tutor in question, so we don't require commas. Similarly, in the second example here, the footballer, again, a very general description. There are lots of footballers in the world. It doesn't specifically peg Cristiano Ronaldo as the footballer we're talking about in the sentence. So again, we don't need commas around the name. The footballer Cristiano Ronaldo has big thighs. Now, if we look at the counterexample where the description does identify the person in the question directly, then we do need commas around the name. So here, my ACT tutor, and then because there is presumably only one ACT tutor that you have, this does directly identify that one tutor, i.e. me. As the person we're talking about in the sentence, you do require commas around the name. My ACT tutor, Tom Davies, is an extremely attractive man. Similarly, in the second example, the President of the United States is our description, very specific description. There's only one President of the United States, so we do need commas around the name. President of the United States, Barack Obama, lives in the White House. So again, you want to be thinking about this in terms of non-essential information. So in these two examples down here, you can remove Tom Davies and you can remove Barack Obama from these sentences, and it wouldn't actually change the meaning of the sentence. So my ACT tutor is an extremely attractive man. You only have one ACT tutor, so the inclusion of this name, it doesn't actually change the meaning of this sentence. The President of the United States, there's only one President of the United States, Barack Obama. You can remove this. This information is non-essential, and it wouldn't change the meaning of that sentence. Okay, so that's how you identify whether or not you require commas. Is this information essential? Is it non-essential? Does it directly identify the person within the sentence? So when it comes to punctuating dates within a sentence, it's rather more straightforward than punctuating job descriptions and names. There are only really two rules that you need to bear in mind. Rule number one, if you are indeed punctuating days and dates within a sentence, it's going to be the comma used and not a semicolon. Just remember, there are very specific uses of a semicolon. These are covered in other of my ACT videos. Links are up the top now. So if you look at example number one, on August the 12th, 2015, I'm writing about punctuation. Example number two, on Wednesday, August the 12th, 2015, I'm writing about punctuation. So you notice here, the only piece of punctuation that I'm using is a comma. It doesn't matter whether I'm including just here the day within the month and the year, it's still a comma, or I'm including, in addition, the day within the week. So the only difference between these two is that I've got Wednesday in here, still going to be using a comma. It doesn't matter how many components of the dates you have, it's always going to be a comma separating those different components. Incorrect use of punctuation would be this one here. So using a semicolon to separate the date from the rest of the sentence. Don't be tempted to do that. It's always going to be a comma. Rule number 2, note that a comma is only required if the date within the month is included. So if we only have the specific month itself and the year, as is the case here, August 2015. So notice there's no August the 15th, etc. It's just the month and the year, and we don't require a comma. So really, you can see quite simple in terms of punctuating your dates. Only 2 rules to memorise. Number 1 is going to be a comma rather than a semicolon. Number 2, if there's no date, it's only the month and the year, then you don't require any punctuation at all between your different components of the date. Thanks very much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more tutoring videos. Remember that full notes and other resources are available on my tutoring website at idktuition.com. And if you'd like me to cover anything in particular, please leave me a message in the comments below or on Twitter at TomDavies32.